Welcome to King's Table. My name is Obed.
And you got Phil Nelson over here. What up, Kings?
What's up, Kings? Today we're going to talk about anger and being okay with it.
Okay, let's do this.
So before we continue, cue the music. All right, welcome back. Today, we're going to discuss anger and the fact that, it holds people back, and it's a very heavy emotion that's dark, and it can take over your life if you don't pay attention to it, you know?
Facts.
And I think for men, I've seen a lot of men that are angry that don't know how to process it, and I want to let you guys know it's okay.
All right.
We've been told our entire lives, hey, just don't talk about your feelings, keep quiet about them. And, having all these feelings and bottled up, we'll do one of two things. And I said this last episode, we'll either implode or explode. We'll either hurt ourselves by substance abuse or lash out,
That's what happens.
And I don't think it's a good way to deal with it, but what you're feeling is it's okay to have, because you have a right to feel those things. And I want to share with you a personal story that I have with my mom.
Okay.
We didn't really have a good relationship growing up, and I was very angry. I was an angry young kid, and I didn't know how to process it. And it got to the point where I was cussing and throwing stuff, and my mom would just say something, and I would just go crazy off the wall, And
were these triggers?
I think so. Some of them were triggers, and also I feel like it was a bad time in my life personally.
Okay.
And but that's how I would react, And my mom was scared of me. It got bad, And one day I was like, man, this is it's too much. It's this anger and this hate is just killing me on the inside. I can't keep living like this. If this is what life is, then why am I alive? But I know I was man, there's people that are happy that are that live to 80 years old and stuff,
For real.
And I was so there's good stuff in the world too. There's happiness in the world. I just need to start my path down that road. And one day it was just okay, I just forgave my mom, and I just forgave myself, and I went to sleep. And when I woke up the next day, it was just
breathe.
I was just honest to God, man. Breathe. It was I was so free. It literally felt like the world was off my shoulders, and I felt like a kid again. Just
right
at
on.
peace,
Like you said a couple of things. One of the key words I took from that was forgive.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's something we can definitely talk about at length and whatever. However, when you say that you were angry and all of those things, so when you were bottling that anger, and you said that no matter what happened, I started cussing, and then you start wilding out because for whatever trigger it was, what was your moment of clarity where it was just okay, holding on to this anger isn't serving me, and I'm going to choose to do something different? What was that like for you?
I think for me, it was just understanding or just coming to the terms where yo, I feel negative energy. I just feel sad all the time and angry. And I was I'm generally a funny guy.
Okay.
But why am I feeling like this? And it came to the point where I was okay, I understood what it was. I understood why. And I was I can change this. I don't have to live like this. And I was I just don't want to deal with this anymore, because it was just bad. I just knew I couldn't, and I didn't want to kill myself.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm here right now.
Appreciate that. You know what I mean? Kind of like having you around,
Yeah. But I was man, I just can't live like that anymore. So I was just all right, I made the decision, and then I just started reading books to even
there you go.
You know, one of the first books that I ever bought, self-help book, was The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. And
okay.
from there, like, I just went on this tangent, or just like, I don't know what it was, this path of just like buying and reading books. And like, since then, I feel like that was like one of the most liberating things that have happened in my life to date, you know?
Okay.
Only because it was like, it was an awakening almost.
Like a big shift.
Yeah.
Right. Outlook on life, perspective, all those things.
Exactly.
Right?
And it was like, I needed that, you know?
Okay.
And like, then once I had one small change, like, it just completely changed the trajectory of my life, you know? Like, now I could say, like, I don't even recognize who the person I was 5-6 years ago, you know?
There you go.
And I think that's important, you know, when you talk about your anger, I feel like it kind of like diffuses the actual thing that made you mad, you know?
That's true. Like as a man, I find it hard to talk about emotions, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I'll be mad at, you know, whatever situation is, and I just bottle it up. Right? My natural reaction, just bottle it up, deal with it, be a man, shake it off.
Yeah.
And like as I get older, I'm recognizing that all of this anger that I'm suppressing, it's going to show up somehow, some way.
Exactly.
It's just gonna come through. And I used to live by this old adage, you know, because people would say, you know, you can't just keep sweeping things under the rug.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I would just be like, okay, that's true, right? Unless you got more yarn, right? And just knit a bigger rug, right? Like you've heard me say that before. And I learned that that's not conducive to anything healthy.
Yeah.
Right. That anger that just kind of sits in there, like it just ultimately becomes poison because the smallest thing can set me off.
Yeah.
Whereas if I was at peace and I had to deal with that same small thing, maybe I would react different. Right. So I just kind of think that as a whole, like as society, like there isn't really like an outlet, you know, for men to really be like, you know what, I'm mad for A, B, C reasons. Right. And be able to voice that without having to be on the defense about it.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being vulnerable and be like, okay, this is what is making me feel a certain way. And then how do I go about addressing these things so I can let it go?
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's important.
Like, I think letting it go, period, but like genuinely letting it go, not just, I kind of let it go. I'm just going to forget about it until I get pissed off at it again. I mean, genuinely letting it go. Like, how are you able to, you know, whatever was making you mad, right? 5 years ago when you were a different person, like, how did you get to the point where you was like, you know what, enough is enough. And then you just completely let that go. Like,
Yeah.
what was that process like?
I think it was a lot of just like how should I say, you know, my mom would tell my siblings, be like, yo, like, he scares me, you know? And then like hearing that, like, your mom is scared of you, like, that shit is just kind of like,
No good.
yeah, it's like, dude, what the, like, it kind of like puts into perspective. And I think a lot of it was like taking responsibility, you know?
That's huge.
Because I would get mad and be like, that person made me mad. This thing made me mad. But in reality, it's like, you allow these things to make you mad.
Facts.
You know? And
Big facts.
It's like, if you allow it to make you mad, then you will be mad. But you're giving them permission to. If you say, I'm not going to let you make me mad anymore, you have control. And ultimately, you've always had control.
Agree. Yeah.
You know? It's just taking responsibility and complete ownership of your life and your happiness and whatever you're feeling. Like, whatever you're feeling it's based on what you think, right? So if you think, hey, I have control over my life, or, you know, life is going to be good, life is good right now too, that shit will just amplify. You know, your mind is it's a garden, and whatever seeds / thoughts, you know, you plant in it, that shit's going to grow. Like, your mind is fertile as fuck.
Man.
So I think that kind of reality was just what shifted my mind to even be like, hey, look, I can grow and I can move past this if I want to.
Right. It's your choice.
Yeah.
Right. Once you take ownership. You said some things that sparked some thoughts for me. You talking about like things kind of begin like in the mind with the thought.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I've done, you know, a lot of personal development work over the last 10 years, right? Really figuring out like, you know, how did I get these results in my life? And it really always starts with your thoughts. Whether you listen to, you know, the Wayne Dyers of the world, the Joe Dispenzas of the world, it doesn't really, they're all kind of preach the same thing, that thoughts become things.
Yes.
Right? So if we can break it down, like how it was taught to me was basically, you know, the way you think, right, controls the way you feel. Right? So we have a thought, something pissed us off, we're mad. Okay, it's real easy to feel anger. Right? You just think about something that pissed you off, you can go right back to that feeling because it's real.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So if your thoughts control your feelings, right? So what controls your actions, right? That's your feeling. So your
Yeah.
thought, feeling, action, right? Based on some thought, I felt a certain way, so I did a certain thing. Now, when
Yeah.
you did that certain thing, you created a result. That's our reality. So it's
Exactly.
really those 4 steps: thought, feel, act, reality. Right? So if we're in control of our thoughts and we can let go of the anger so that emotion doesn't have to get tied to it, we can act like our true selves instead of the angry self.
Yeah.
And we can actually create a different result instead of the turmoil that just kind of keeps going over and over and over because we just become victim to the thought of anger. Right? So it's like learning those concepts. And it's like in my life now, I'm a man, I'm a father, husband, and all these things. Like I want to make sure that I'm living the right
Good.
way for the family.
Exactly.
And anger isn't going to help. Anger brings nothing positive to the table. That doesn't mean that I don't struggle with it. Right?
Yeah, I think like I don't think it's like struggling with it because anger is a normal reaction, right? But it's kind of like when you get angry, it's for only a handful of reasons. I think one of the reasons is you've been violated, right? Your personal space, your boundaries, your respect, your trust. These things have been violated, right? Now, it's good to know that, and it's kind of like, okay, it creates a line of like this is what made me mad, and then you can kind of even look at that line, quote unquote, and say, hey, is this worth getting mad over?
That's a fair question.
Did this person cut me off?
Can we create that kind of space to ask ourselves those questions though, or do we?
And
Right?
we don't have. I don't want to say we don't have. I think we can. We just need to create that space.
Right.
Like just ask ourselves these questions. Going back to like that cutting off. Someone cuts us off on the freeway, right? We're like, fuck this person, fuck that, like go to hell. This.
Oh
is
yeah,
that.
I've been there.
Give them the finger.
I've
right?
been there. Yeah.
But if you flip the script and change the story, it's like, what if that person's on his way to an interview and if he doesn't get this job, like he's gonna be homeless.
Okay.
And it's like, okay.
I don't even think that.
And I feel like most people don't, but it's like when you rewrite that script, it kind of like puts it in a different perspective, and it's like it doesn't get you mad, but it's like, hey, like if a person cut me off and they're driving really fast, it's like they need to get to a destination. I hope they get there safe.
Wow.
And that,
Wow.
and it takes some maturity to do that, but it
can be done.
It can be done, right?
It can be done. I think that's when you talk about taking ownership.
Yeah.
It's a different way to respond to the situation. I mean, like, we've all been cut off, right? Like I've been cut off before, and honking the horn, flipping the bird, all those things, right? And I'm sure I've cut people off too, and someone's looking at me that way. I mean, like you're saying, like maybe someone had an interview, maybe someone's got a pregnant woman in the back trying to get to the hospital. Like we don't know.
Yeah.
We just make up this story that we've been wronged. So I'm right, they're wrong, and then all of a sudden I'm angry.
Exactly.
To a person that I'm never gonna meet, I'm never gonna see, unless I, try to cut them off, and try to get revenge. But let's just say I get cut off, and now I'm gonna take that anger from the freeway, and it messes up my entire day.
Yeah.
Right? Because I didn't give myself that space to just say, you know what, I don't know what that person was going through. I didn't give myself that moment to just breathe, look at the situation. Is this really worth me getting angry for?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So if we take like a bird's eye view of someone getting cut off on the freeway, right? You just see what happens. If we break down all the stories, we're trying to figure out reasons of why it happened. We just look at what happened. A car just went in front of your car. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all that happened, right? A car went in front of you and you had to put on your brake. And if we can just leave it there without the story, then I think it's real easy to live a happier life. But the challenge there is we just create so much story. We have a thought about a situation, and again, it trickles down. That thought becomes a feeling, becomes an action, creates a result.
Yeah.
But we're not giving ourselves that kind of insulation to look at things objectively.
And I think that's important to give yourself time to react. All right. And I feel like that's a very emotionally mature thing to do, because like as men, like we're highly reactive, and we're less like we don't really have that time to think about our feelings, right? Something pisses us off, bam,
Instant,
right? And it's like if we give ourselves the space to process these feelings before we react, oh man, we'd be just a whole other beast. We'd be a whole other Kings,
I mean, it'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
It'd be ridiculous. The different things that we can accomplish when we're not focused on anger.
Yeah.
And then for the ones that for like things that work for me, one, dealing with it, right?
Yes.
Just acknowledge the hell out of it and not just pretend it doesn't exist. But even like simple things, like I can just go run to the batting cages.
Yeah.
right? Like I had a passion for baseball as a kid, and you get a little workout out of it, and it's just, or maybe you want to go to the gym, hit the
Yeah.
punching bag. Like I think it's just you've got to get the anger out somehow. If not, it's poison. And it's just
Yeah.
going to carry, and it's going to carry, and it's going to carry. And the thing that you think you let go of, but you really didn't, is only going to be magnified the next small trigger that comes along your way.
Damn, I never thought about it like that.
I
That's
mean,
true.
it's just kind of what
true.
we're going with. It's just like
Yeah.
if we don't address it when it's small, then, I mean, it just kind of
Grows.
compound interest in a way. It just gets
that
bigger,
seed.
bigger, bigger, bigger,
Yeah.
bigger, bigger because we're not addressing it at the very, very beginning, and to be like, this isn't even worth being mad about.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let this one incident control and affect my entire day.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude.
It just, and then looking at it now, through this conversation, like it's real easy to say, but when you're in that moment, all you see is red.
Yeah.
Right. That's very real. But I think what we need to practice, what I would like to practice, because I'm not saying that I've got it all figured out.
Yeah,
But
same
it's
here.
just in the next time that I'm angry, it's like really ask myself the question: is this situation really worth my time and energy to be mad about?
Yeah.
Is me being mad, really going to fix it? Right? And maybe the answer is no. Okay. But is it okay for me to be mad?
Yes.
I think it is. Right? It's okay to be upset, but just let's not stay there.
yeah. It's just
Right.
moving past it,
Gotta move past it. Like, I mean, honor the feeling. Like, it's real. Like, don't try
Yeah.
to ignore it, but we don't have to let the thought become the feeling affect my action. I can choose to act differently.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the main point.
yes,
The choice
yeah.
of action,
For sure.
And go ahead.
I
Continue.
understand it comes with like responsibility and ownership.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm feeling pissed off, something happened. I have this crazy thought. I'm feeling mad. It's at that moment I have a choice. I have a choice to say, you know what? I'm going to act through this anger, or I'm going to acknowledge this moment and find a way to let it go before I do anything next in my life.
Yeah.
And it's like I think that's that moment where when we see red, that should be the new trigger. Let's reanalyze the situation.
Yeah.
At least me, not the other person or whatever happened, whatever the incident was. That gives me an opportunity to analyze me before I make my next step.
Yeah. It gives you ownership,
Facts. I
control, and power.
I think that's what it is. I mean, as a king, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're the leaders, we're the forefront. Like, we got to be,
In
control at all times. I mean, flexible, yes.
Yeah.
But in control of my emotions.
Yes.
All the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I may not be able to control every situation, but I can control myself.
Your
and how I
reaction.
act. Yes,
Exactly.
for sure.
And I think just going off what you said about like how to deal with it properly and going to the batting cages and getting that anger out, that's a very, very true thing.
This guy has got to get released.
Exactly. And I think like a good way like to combat like things that trigger us once we have identified what makes us mad is to kind of just like how you said compound interest, and I laughed at that. I smiled at that because it's crazy because compound interest, you think of like, numbers and percentages, but interest, I think of like, the interest that you have on that specific topic, right? So it's like that one interest in that anger is just going to compound. So it's
Absolutely.
like compound interest.
Absolutely.
That was the pun. I caught it.
For sure.
And I think like when it comes to like combating these triggers, like again, you can't control the world. You can only control your world, your reaction.
Agreed. 1000%.
And it's
1000%.
like, I think one of the best ways is to re-script the event, which is to say, hey, this person acted this way because of whatever event happened to them. I don't know.
It's writing a new story.
Exactly.
It's writing a new story. Because I think the immediate response is going to support the angry thought.
Yeah.
Right? I got cut off. That person, like, they're this, they're that, right?
Yeah.
And your immediate response is going to support that angry thought. But I think it's changing that story, right? When you talk about rewriting, it's just change the story. You can believe whatever you want to believe,
If you have
whatever you want to believe. So instead of saying, "Oh, this person's a jerk for cutting me off," like literally, is it possible that there was a pregnant woman in there?
Yeah.
Is it possible that someone was really on their way to a job interview? Is it possible? It certainly was. So if I choose to believe that story instead of just, "Oh, they're just an asshole," right? At least I can control how how I respond to that situation.
Yeah, 100%.
It just gives me an opportunity to make a choice instead of just falling victim to the anger.
Yeah.
Because I mean, come on now. We got one shot here. We got one shot on Earth, right?
And
we got one shot, and it's just why spend so much time staying angry,
yeah.
right? Again, like I believe it's okay to feel anger. It's a real emotion, and I would never tell someone to just hide their emotions. right? It's sometimes we're human, right? We're emotional beings. We don't have to stay angry. And it's the thoughts that are going to keep feeding that beast of anger. We can control that part.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying, like, rewrite the story, believe something different. So at least we can address the anger, let it go, and then proceed with our day. Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like yesterday, it's crazy because yesterday, like little things were just pissing me off the entire day. And then I was on my way to my cousin's like wedding party.
All right.
And I was like, man, and I told my sister, I was like, I feel really angry. And just saying that, like, it kind of brought peace to me. Like, I was just like, hey, I just feel angry. And she's like, hey, you want a hug? And I was like, yeah, well, you can hug me. And
in that moment right there, I'm going to stop you, right?
Yeah.
So when she comes up and says, oh, I'm going to give you a hug, all right, your immediate response would be like, well, a hug? Like, maybe that'll work, maybe it won't. If that person gave you a genuine hug,
yeah,
like, tell me that wouldn't have a change or like some sort of positive effect on that moment.
The thing is like, she didn't hug me, but the simple fact that she said, hey, do you want a hug?
Okay.
That changed me, like, my emotions, because I was like, shit, like, all right, like, shit's not bad. Like, someone gives a fuck about me, you know? And someone cares about the fact that I have this feeling, you know? And I think that is also very, like, important to have, when people around you, like, you don't want to be around people that are like Debbie Downers or negative Nancys and just hold you down. When you feel mad, they amplify the anger.
Facts.
And
it just becomes more toxicity, right? Like, I mean, we've all got someone that we vent to.
Yeah.
Sure, right? We've all got that one that we vent to, right?
I got you.
My guy. The difference, though, especially, you're in our relationship, is like, you will definitely have a place for me to vent. But then it's like, okay, once the venting's done, it's like, so what, now what?
Yeah.
It's like, I heard you. Okay, that's what's up. What's the plan?
Yeah.
That's the difference, right? Whereas, my former self or even some of my friends now, their quote unquote support systems are just going to continue to support the anger, right? So if I was mad at something, I would have one of my friends be like, oh, that you're right. You should be mad. What can we go do to get back at him? And it's like, that's so toxic. And it's coming from a revengeful place.
Yeah.
Right? Not a place of love, not a place of compassion, not a place of moving past whatever the issue was. It's just going to continue to just stir the pot of anger.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely who your support system is, because they can, yes, vent. We got to get things out, get the poison out. But don't just have a person that vents, that you can vent to. They've got to also hold you capable of moving past whatever you're venting about.
100%.
That's what I appreciate about you.
Oh, thank you, man.
I can vent, but you damn well hold me capable to get past it.
Thank you, man. That's it. I can say the same with you, man. Like, every time I feel like, for me, one of the biggest things is judgment, right? Yeah. As a lot of us like have that holding over our heads and shoulders. It's like, when I vent to you, it's like, hey, man, like, it's you're understanding and you're like willing to listen, Because I really didn't have many people listen to me growing up, like, of what I had to say. And so, like, it was always like I've been dismissed. But, like, like, few people in my life, like you, you're like, hey, man, I want to listen to you. And that's, dude, that means a lot to me.
Oh, appreciate it. I mean, it goes two ways. Like, I mean, we both know that. It's just like, what do we do that next time, right? Like, let's say it happens as soon as you leave, right? As soon as you leave where we at right now, and then somebody cuts you off, right?
Just give him a bird. Not just nah.
It's just like, it's real, because the whole point that I want to kind of make is that it's real easy to talk about solutions. It's a lot harder to execute solutions.
Yeah.
Right. So we can talk about what we'll do the next time that we find ourselves in an angry situation. It's what do we do the next time we're really inside of it and we're really in the thick of it.
Yeah.
It's like those steps that we talk about, we just got to put those into action. And I think that's the message across the board to all the kings out there. It's like, you're going to be mad. You're going to be tested. You are going to be challenged. It doesn't matter what you want to do in your life. Not everything goes to plan.
Exactly.
You're going to be angry. It's okay to be angry. Let's not stay there and then have it affect everything else. Yeah, I mean, that's really the point, at least that I'm trying to get out, right?
Yeah,
it's just like,
same.
Like it's okay to be angry. It's just, what do we do to move past the anger in the shortest amount of time before we take our next step?
Yeah.
Don't dwell.
Exactly.
Don't dwell.
So with that being said, we're gonna wrap up this episode. We'll see you here back next week, Kings.
King's Table.
At King's Table. Peace. Outro music.